بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
We always get the question specifically to attack religion. Why a woman was not chosen to be a prophet? That's a very important question, and many people always try to answer that, but they fail because the other person is always looking at us, at the people who love religion, as we are bringing the woman down. But in reality, if we look at the foundation of the universe, it will really answer that, and it will be easy to look at that. And it will be very deep to understand that actually. Why? Because we would understand who we are. Imam Ali was asked one time, can you explain can we know God? Can we see it? Can we see Him? He said yes, but you cannot see Him in eyes. I mean, with your eyes, with your vision. You'll be able to see Him with your inside, with your heart. Why? Because if you know your soul, you will know who He is. Okay? Very important for you to know who you are first. Before asking any question, any person will come immediately saying, start talking about God. Immediately start talking. So I would immediately ask him, do you know yourself? He will say yes. I will tell him, can you please tell me where you are inside you now? He will not have any answers. It's very, say no, you're trying to escape the answers. But in reality, if you want to know who is God, you need to know who you are. What do you like? What do you don't like? What is your goal in life? This is part of who you can be. But for you to ask who you are, who I am, who am I need to start really struggling to find myself. Where I can be, what can I do, and all these things. And you can even go more deeper and deeper. Why? Because we are constructed from three things. We are constructed from body, mind, and brain. Mind and brain are completely different. How can I prove that? For example, while I'm sitting here, you will be able to talk, right? Inside yourself, inside your head. You'll be able to hear a voice inside your head. You didn't use anything, any vocal instrument, but you're able to hear something inside your head. What did you use to hear that inside you? And who you are talking to inside your head? Who you are talking to? You see, if you start asking this question, many things will start being revealed. And here you know the difference between the mind and your brain. Why? Because the mind will teach the brain. It's yourself, it's who you are. And then we'll start teach the brain. Later, for example, when you are 5, 6, 7 years old, you're always yourself teaching your brain many things. Later you'll start finding your brain is teaching you back. When you reach, for example, 16, 17 years old, your brain start telling you why this is right, why this is wrong. And then we'll start asking you back. Why? Because the brain is collecting too much information from all the surrounding. 17 years, 18 years, and then, for example, you come to be 25, 26, you start asking yourself, who am I? And many deep questions. And that's why the person will be brought to where he is now. Everyone, for example, if you want to be choosing religion, or if you want to be departing from religion, and so on. So all this is made from information. You don't have anything physical inside your head. And this is in the science of Arfan. The science of Arfan, what does it mean, Arfan? Arfan is knowing God, knowing Allah, who is Allah, from the spiritual way. This is many people in religion, even in Shia, they attack Arfan. They say Arfan is constructed from too much philosophy, and philosophy might make you stupid, or might make you crazy, or so on. But if you follow the right philosophy, it will not make you stupid. In reality, it will make you start thinking about your existence. And that's very important, to start thinking about your existence. Different type of religion, they always want you to think about pleasing God. But the way to please God is in two ways: to follow His orders, plus to love Him back, right? Why you want to follow whatever He ordered you without any sense of love? Many people, they always fear. They say, I fear God. I fear that He's going to take me to hell. But in reality, He does not want you to look at Him like this. He doesn't want you. He wants you to follow Him in a way of love, saying, I want to do this because I love Him. I don't want to do it because I fear Him. But we have to pass by the fear, emotion. You have to. It's a healthy process. Don't think, for example, when immediately someone reads something about Imam Ali talking about this, for example, saying if you worship God from the fear type, you are worshiping Him like a business. Why? Because you need something back for whatever you are fearing. And if you worship him out of love, then you are the worshipper of the one who always revolt, ahrar, yeah. And then he talked about few different type of worshiping God, but the best worshipper is the worshipper who passed through all these stages. The first stage is who you are. He will ask Allah Azza wa Jal, who you are. Can you teach me who you are? This is the first stage ever. If someone comes to you and then he'll start talking about religion and he didn't sense this, you're not gonna find anything inside him except talking about salat, siyam, something like that, and he would not understand who is Allah, who is God, who is the creator. You ask him any question, he won't be able to answer it. Why? Because he didn't experience that. But you need to follow someone who experienced all those stages, and you need to experience these stages. The first stages is knowing God. After that, you need to start loving Him, and then after that, you need to fear Him. After that, you will be completed between the fear and the love, because everything is constructed from duality. You see, duality is very important. That's why we live in it. That's why we have positive and negative. You see, it's all connected. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentioned duality with what? With the morning and with night. At night we sleep, and in the morning we do work. That's why duality is very important. And in Ilm al-Arfan, in the science of Arfan, we exchanging information called, it is very weird hearing it for the first time, but I'm gonna explain why. For example, a man and woman, when they do intercourse, they got children, right? Even exchanging information in the science of Arfan called intercourse. Exchanging information. For example, if I'm teaching someone something new, it will be like I'm giving him new information that will go inside your brain, and your brain will marry this information. Why? Because it will change the mapping of the brain. The mapping of the brain has kids. Many people, if you read the old Arabic scripts, they will say the banat afkari, the daughters of my thoughts. Even in England literature, many old big thinkers, they used to say the daughters of my thoughts. Why? Because this is the reality of Ilm al-Arfan. They got it from the science of Arfan, and this giving the information from someone, pass it on to someone else, will be this having intercourse, like having intercourse with brains. It's very simple. Why we fear to say that these days? Because everything now, when we look at TVs, we live our normal life, all is a symbol of the physical intercourse, and then we'll be ashamed to say that. Thinking, giving you, for example, new ideas will be a brain intercourse. We'll be afraid to say that, but in reality, this is real. This is happening. And Allah Azza wa Jal, when He taught His prophets, He gave them the knowledge from the very beginning. For example, there is no prophet that came earth, he didn't know that he was a prophet. There was nobody. All they came here and they used to know that they are prophets. Why? Because they were taught to be prophets. How a person can be a representative of God and he need to be learned from someone else. You see what I mean? A representative of God, he need to be infallible. What does it mean to be infallible? A person who wanna be infallible, he need to understand all his surrounding. If anyone asks him any question, he'll be able to answer. Right? For example, let's imagine any prophet who live now. Like, we call him Prophet X. We'll go there, we'll ask Prophet X, can you ask us, can you tell me about so and so? And he will look at you and say, I don't know. You'll say, how are you representing God and you don't really know what to answer? And from this point, you know that he's lying immediately. Why? Because a prophet, he should know all the knowledges. He should know what's happening and what is going to happen. That's why they call it prophecies, about what's going to happen in the future. You see? Okay. So why I opened this subject, because I want to take you to why Allah Azza wa Jal, He chose only man to be prophets. He didn't choose women. Is it integrating? I mean, it will put them down? No, it will not put them down. Let's look at the creation, at the very creation. If you remember at sacred geometry, at the very beginning, we were talking about what? About circles. Okay, all circles. And then we see the Prophet Muhammad, he's a circle. Imam Ali, he's a circle. We started from the middle of inside the Prophet Muhammad to outside. I showed you that in the videos before. And then we have Imam Hassan, and we have Imam Hussein, and then we had what? Sayyidah Zahra. Sayyidah Zahra, she is representing woman, and she was at level of those men, except Rasulullah. She was at the level of those men, and Allah Azza wa Jal, He created her half. We will say human being, and other half is what? Huriyah. What does it mean, Huriyah?
Like
Hur al-Ain, yeah. Hur al-Ain, a person from heaven. Yeah, a person from heaven. That's why she was created as a circle. Allah Azza wa Jal created her as a circle. And I will give you this example with who? With Mary, the mother of Jesus. Why she didn't marry someone to bring Jesus. Now we will answer this. It will be answered. You will know why after I explain what exactly. But after this creation, I talked about it before. This creation, Allah Azza wa Jal, when He inserted this nur, this ray inside the water, and then everything was created from water, immediately Allah Azza wa Jal created the man and the woman. In which form? The form that He took dots, that when He went inside this water from the energy. Remember that? You want me to explain that back, or you want me to explain it back? Do you remember this about the energy, the ball of energy, when they went inside water? Okay, I'll explain it briefly. Huh?
The tree of the Anbiya.
Yeah, I'll explain that briefly. When Allah Azza wa Jal created Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Prophet Muhammad, he was like a ball of energy and light. Extremely hot, extremely energy, too much. It went inside the water. This water, if you put something very extreme inside water, what's gonna happen? It will bring a lot of water, flash, and whatever you can imagine. Okay, now if we do that, we have two type of things. Even things will become like dots, will be coming outside this water, and or straight line will be coming outside. Okay, two things will become out. So the person who came as a dot, as a circle, Allah Azza wa Jalla created him as what? As male, and no? Male, yeah. And a person who were from outside that water as a straight line, created them like what? Female, male and female. And can we remember exactly where we found that? If you look now at the symbol of male and female, what does it symbolize? There's a circle, and then there's a up, and then a circle, and go down, right? Many times we looked at that as funny movies that always teaching you the sexualities, right? When we always look at these symbols, they always try to represent sexualities. In reality, those symbols, you know from where? What's the origin of these symbols? These symbols are origin from the Renaissance time and from Europe. And the European, they took them from what? The old book of the alchemists of Arabs. The Arab alchemists, that they used to transfer things to things. So those symbols, they are in reality the symbol of the creation. That's very important. When you look at these ones, for example, now when you go to restroom, you always see man, and then under that a symbol, a circle, and then going out. In reality, this symbol is real. This symbol is talking about something very deep, but we always make fun of it. We say, why man represented by a circle and with an arrow, and then why a woman represented a circle by flipped cross? Nobody asked that. But if you really go now and start searching, you'll find that these ones originated from the Renaissance time from Europe, and then the European, they took it from alchemists who came from the Middle East. They used to work with alchemistry, and something very deep. Can we find this inside the Quran? Yes, we can find it, and it's very important. Allah Azza wa Jal in Surah Ar-Rahman, inshallah one day we will go deeply at explaining Surah Ar-Rahman in very deep way. And inside the Surah Ar-Rahman, verse 35, it's very important. I want you to read Surah Ar-Rahman in a form of creation. I don't want you to read it from the form of whatever you've been hearing before. Just think about the creation and start reading Surah Ar-Rahman. You will find the creation inside Surah Ar-Rahman. I told you before, for example, Surah Yusuf is talking about us here. Yeah, what do you need to do here on earth? Surah Ar-Rahman is the creation at the very beginning. And in verse 35, Allah Azza wa Jal said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, يُرْسِلُ عَلَيْكُمَا شَوَاظٌ مِّن نَارٍ وَنُحَاسٍ فَلَا تَنْتَصِرَانِ. The translation here, which is wrong translation, I'm gonna read it anyway, and I'll tell you what the right translation is. Saying the flames of fire and smoke will be sent on you too. Then you will not be able to defend yourself. Okay. In the ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal is talking about fire and copper. Fire and copper. He didn't talk about fire and smoke. I don't know from this translator who did this translation, from where did he get the smoke? He didn't talk about smoke. He's talking about copper. Where is copper here? Because saying nar wa nuhas. You know what nuhas? Nuhas is copper. Where is the translation? Copper, the mineral, yeah. Where is it? What is it exactly? We didn't find it. Yeah. I didn't find it in translation. So it's something wrong. Why is this translation always wrong? So anyway, I will say why Allah Azza, what He's talking about here. He's saying when you do not obey, Allah He will start sending on you the small pieces of fire and copper. Okay, now directly we go back to those two circles. Those two circles that represent the sexuality of man and woman, you know, the one with arrow and the one with flipped cross, in reality represent two things. Represent the iron and represent the metal. I mean the copper and represent the iron. Subhan, you know, see how things are connected. Those two things are representing if you read them, if you go deep into what exactly made them, because they're made by alchemists. What is the relationship between alchemists and the sexuality of the human being? Okay, so they were made by, there's iron here and there's copper. Okay, we go back to this surah, to this ayah. Allah Azza wa Jal saying here, He will send on you what? Pieces of iron, something very hot, pieces of that, and plus what? Plus copper. Then He will send on you people, man and woman, who will make you suffer. This is the reality of that. But Allah Azza wa Jal talked about this because He wants you to find the original form of human beings. The original forms of the human beings. Okay. What is again the relationship between copper and iron and the human being? Okay. At the very beginning, like when we said, when Allah Azza wa Jal created that, if you insert something very hot inside this, very dense inside this water, things gonna become like now. Did you ever heard about the atom smashers? Atom smashers? Colliders? Yeah. There's a big hadron collider. Between France and Switzerland and three countries at the borders. It's a big circle. They will send very dense hydrogen, and then they will hit each other, and then they will start looking at new elements. It is exactly the same thing here. But Allah Azza wa Jal, He said two forms of things, iron and copper. And iron represented by what? Allah Azza wa Jal represented by man. And the copper, Allah Azza wa Jal, He made the woman represented by that. And from those two pieces we need to start understanding what is going on. Why Allah Azza wa Jal, He want this and He want that. And now studying these metals will make us go more deeper inside understanding us, who really we are. Okay? So when we were created, a man was created as a circle and a woman was created as a straight line. And then if you want to take this to the regular geometry, what this is make you remember? A circle with a straight line. Yeah. No. No, they just connect. Just a circle with a straight line will be a tangent. You see? When a circle connect with a straight line will be a tangent. The relationship between man and woman is a tangent in regular geometry. It's a tangent. Okay. Why it's a tangent? Because a tangent line to a plane curve, because a circle is a curve, it's continuous curve. Okay, and this is will make you remember something very important. Always the people who really believe in religion in a form of just studies and book and sculpture and stuff like that, they tell you, you ask him how God created woman. He will say God created woman from what? The rib of the man. And let me tell you what the rib of the man is. Okay, we take this, we translate this, for example, to Arabic or to Hebrew or to whatever language it is. When imams or prophets said the rib of the man, they didn't really mean the rib. Let me tell you how. Yeah, the ribs over here. They think really, literally, Allah, He take the rib from here and then He put it in some place and then start growing and then become a woman. They really believe that, really. That's why they look always down to the woman. Some people. I'm not saying that religion, because religion in reality is giving the woman what should be there. It's equal to man. A woman is equal to woman, but a man is not like woman. We need to understand that very well. Okay, so Allah, and if we take this to Arabic, He said, Rasulullah, Prophet Muhammad, he said, خُلِقَتْ الْمَرْأَةِ مِنْ ضُلْعِ الرَّجُلِ. Okay, we translate that in a right translation, not the wrong translation. We say, a woman created by an angle with a man. Angle. You see, ضلع in Arabic has two meanings. ضلع mean an angle and a rib. Huge difference. Huge difference. Why? Because a ضلع mean, for example, if I bring a circle and then a tangent next to it, I can say there's a ضلع here. ضلع in Arabic. You see, that's the ضلع. Not the ضلع is the rib here. What take you to ضلع? You know, always think about food, because some people they eat the curve. Yeah. A person who need to study religion, he need to study all the sciences with it, because I told you before, science and religion are one by one. You cannot just study science and leave religion, and you cannot study religion without science. They need to continue each other. The duality, you see, science and religion. So when we look at the hadith of the Prophet, narration of the Prophet from this form, ad-dala is what? Is an angle, not a rib. So we understand that there's a relationship between a circle and what? A tangent, straight line. Now we understand what this ayah, Surah Ar-Rahman, is talking about an iron and talking about the copper. Okay. And now just in a regular form, if a male, he will wear a ring that made of copper, he will take all the bad things from it to his body. He will be having poison. I searched that and I found out that a male, if he wear a copper in with his hand, he will be what? Taking a poison. But a female, if she wear a copper, nothing will happen to her. And in a vice versa, if she a woman, a female, if she wear an iron ring with her, she will take the poison, but the male will not take that poison from this element. You see, even our bodies are is made this way. Subhanallah. This is just a fact. It's not like something to build upon. So again, we go back. Why Allah Azza wa Jal? I'm just trying you. At the very beginning, I told you need to understand yourself before you ask any questions. Before we ask why He didn't choose a woman to be a prophet. Okay, now so we understand the creation. We understand that a woman is what? Is a tangent. Okay. Now something very important. I hope it's people will not take it bad, but I need to explain that. If you go back to the time of the philosophers, when they were start making the geometry, when they start observing all their numbering and geometry in a form and in a Greek time, there was something very important start to happen. They said that a circle is always connected to each other. A circle is connected to each other. Yani, this is mean a complete man a complete man, he is always connected. There's nothing can connect to him. Okay, let me say how. What exactly, if we put a line next to a circle, one straight line next to a circle, what is holding that circle? For example, let's bring a sphere and then a plate. Yeah, there's nothing, right? There's only one connection. From this connection over here, there's only one point that will make a small hole that things will come from inside the circle out. This is the creation of what? Of kids. You see how kids, they will start coming? Because with a straight line and with a circle sphere, something from inside that circle will come outside. And this is how the creation, this is how we bring kids. Okay. But what can hold this circle to that tangent? Nothing. Nothing can hold it, right? Okay. If we bring two lines, two tangent and a circle inside, what can hold that circle? Yeah, two lines like this, and I put a sphere inside and start shake it like this. What's gonna happen? Obviously the sphere gonna go out, right? So nothing can hold that sphere inside those two lines, right? Nothing. I'll bring a third line, right? I'll have three lines and then a circle inside. It will be held, right? But what's gonna happen to that circle? It will be outside that circle. It will push it and it will what? Destroy it completely. So the most comfortable situation, we have a sphere inside inside what? Cube. Okay. Allah Azza wa Jal permit a man to marry how many women? Why? Because of this. Because he's a circle and there's four lines. Subhanallah. He permitted that, but he didn't say you have to do it. Don't get me wrong. Okay, no, really. Anything with any religion, with any law, it has a form of geometry from the beginning of the universe. We were created circles and we were created what? Straight lines. So I'm sorry, I need to say that, but this is from the geometry. Okay.
We were answering one another's question.
Okay. So from the very creation, if someone asks you why your God permitted you to marry four women, because of that. You wanna go back to the creationism? I'll explain that to you. So remembering that, Allah Azza wa Jal, if you wanna take a woman to a very high state, like who? Like Sayyidah Zahra Salamullah alayha. Sayyidah Zahra, we established that she's almost half human, half hur, you know. We established that. What about Mary?
She is also.
She never married a man. Allah Azza. She's full. Yeah, no, she's not full hur. She's like exception of that geometry. That's why Allah Azza wa Jalla gave her Jesus as a miracle. Why? Because her spirituality took her from a straight line to a full being. When any woman hit a full being, she will be better than a man. Okay. Simplifying that actually wanna make me go more into physics, but let's talk about.
I'm still trying to figure out the lines and the circles and how they have to do in front of them.
At the very end we're gonna wrap it out. Yeah, we're gonna wrap them all together. You see, in many narrations, Allah, that's a good question because we always, that's a very good question. But because why? Because we think things only fitting our borders, fitting what we've been. For example, what we know is reality. For example, kids, when we were kids, till when hit, for example, the 25 years old, we always try to learn about matter, like where we live, how we live it. We need to succeed in it for us to be successful in life, right? But in reality, from 20 to 25 years old, you've been struggling so much to understand your surrounding. After that, you wanna reverse everything to go back to that purity for you to understand the spirituality. You see, many people, they always go deep in materialistic ways. They forget from where they came from. You see, that's why it's very hard to understand what is the relationship between geometry and curves and circles and alchemists and the metals and so on. It's very but let me represent something. One, just to make it clear, number one equals something in the universe. Okay, you do equal something in the universe. You have number in the universe. This number is very original for you. Allah Azza wa Jal created numbers, and for example, we have from 0 to infinite, right? Every one of you here, they have a specific number that Allah Azza wa Jal created it for him only.
It plays a certain part.
Yeah, you did play a certain part in the creation of the universe, and you. That's why Imam Ali said what? تحسب نفسك جرما صغير وفيك انطوى العالم. You think yourself a small thing, but the universe is banded inside you. You are the universe itself. If you wanna search about any metal in the universe, it's inside your body. We have inside our body gold, we have copper, we have whatever you can imagine. We have things that we didn't discover till this moment. Magnesium, calcium, even we have uranium, even whatever you can imagine, we have inside our body. And even though it's a small thing, that's why you mean something for God. That's why He created you this way, created you representing the universe. You see, it's very important to understand that. So bring in all these elements and unify it and make yourself united with it will bring you to the ultimate geometry of the universe, what created the universe. And after that, all the matter will be connected to you, and you will be connected to it, because we are part of the same foundation. We were all created at the beginning of time from what? From a singularity. One atom, and one atom made everything. You see, we are all one thing at the very end, and which is we refer to Rasulullah, not to God, because God is outside this concept. He created that, but He was from outside, not from the inside. That's what connected everything. So we go back to the subject. Mary, Allah, when she completed herself, she was very completed. She was very dense. Her spirituality made her very dense, a straight line that is very dense. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He took her to the level of what? To be the prophet the mother of Jesus. From who? From nobody, from the spirits only. You see, that's very important. And how we can understand that? Who is Jesus exactly? Do you know how Jesus was created? Okay, I'll mention that. Huh? Why? You know how? Okay, I'll explain how Jesus was. Huh? No. Tamar was after. Yeah, from the sneezing. Yeah, kun fayakun for sure, but for sure, Allah Azza wa Jal, He did teach us something to follow always, a same rule for foundation. At the very beginning, Allah Azza wa Jal, when He created Adam, He created his body first, and He created his soul. Different way, and his body at the beginning. His body was just like a clay, nothing, just a piece of clay. When He inserted his soul inside that body, there was so much energy of that soul that controlled all this body, and immediately what? When he stood up, what happened? Any baby now, when he comes to life, the first thing he do what? No, before crying, he sneeze. Yeah, he do like this, and he start crying. Why? Because there's fluid and so on inside. Subhanallah, this is always gonna happen. So that sneezing, because Adam, he was purely made from that soul, and then his body purely made from that energy. You see, our bodies is made from what? From the food that our mother used to eat. You see, the energy of that body is from so on, whatever she used to eat, cereal or something before she sleep, and will become later like that. But Adam, he wasn't like that. He was created full. He wasn't created as a baby and then start scrolling and playing with heaven. Later he was raised up. No, he was created full size directly. So when he was created full size, when he stood up like this, he started sneezing, and that sneeze, it was full of what? Of his soul, his own soul, his own energy. And that sneeze, that because it was so pure, and it was the beginning of the mankind, us mankind. The angels came and then they took that sneezing, that energy, and they put it together and they took it to certain place, and then from that certain place Allah Azza wa Jal, he took it and he put it back in Mary's womb. What's happened? He was created from Adam. You know, Jesus was created from Adam, from that form, not the form of
our creation.
our creation.
So,
Why? Because he was so purified. Allah Azza wa Jal, he wanna give him that. That's why they call him the Spirit of God, Ruhullah. That's why why? Because he is from Adam, from his spirit. I mean, from his soul when he sneezed. You see,
So
Subhanallah.
He put it on standby until it was ready for his
Yeah. He put it. Yeah, he put it actually directly where the big sacred geometry, in the what we call it, in the place where Rahmatullah Azza wa Jal, which is Rasulullah, in that place. And he was very close. You see. Let me explain something very important. When we talk about sexuality, we always think about very bad thing. Well, right? Immediately we think about man and woman and so on. Right? Immediately we think about that. Allah Azza wa Jal, by creating Jesus, He wants you to think about the purity of things. For example, why? Because He is representing the purity of the creation of Imam Ali from Rasulullah. He doesn't want you to see from this creation duality between man and woman. You see, Jesus represents something very special. It represents something like what we call it tahra. You know, it's completely pure. Pure. Yeah, when you think about Jesus, something purity, because he didn't come from intercourse. And why? Representing the fact of the creation Rasulullah Imam Ali from Rasulullah. He is representing that. He wants you to think about that. You see? I told you before, every prophet, he has a story. Why Allah Azza wa Jal created them? Why? Because they all together represent this Rasulullah and Imam Ali between each other. All prophets, if you connect all their stories, they represent Imam Ali and Rasulullah. The full story. You see? You understand now why? A little bit? Okay.
So it's a little symbolic.
A little symbolic, yeah. Yeah, all prophets are just small pieces of their lives. For example, Noah is the savior, and Rasulullah and Imam Ali, the real savior. Yeah, the ship, there's too much water, and I told you before, each one of them represents something. Moses, he talked to God, right? In a form of what? In the voice of Rasulullah. You see? Or in a voice of Imam Ali, same thing, because they are from the same nur. Adam, he's the father of everyone, but in reality, he ate that apple, and inside the apple there were the seeds. And look at the man's organ. They have the seeds, 2 seeds. Still to this moment. Everything I told you created, symbolizing something. I'm sorry, it does make you laugh, but in reality
No,
it's
man,
real.
subhanallah.
Even those seeds that Adam ate, Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, وَكَشَفَ, He showed the people عوراتهما, بلش شافوا the first time their own things. Inside their own things, there's still till this moment. You know, it's why a woman, she doesn't have this, because she didn't eat the seeds. If she ate the seeds, they will be there. You see, subhanallah. All representing the creation. Everything inside your body representing the creation. And why we cannot look at those awrat? Why? Because these ones will remind us of what Adam did and Eve. That's why it's haram to look at these things. I mean, for different people, not for your own self. Okay. So, what exactly that representing? When a straight line is always open, this straight line. So, for example, let's say Allah Azza wa Jal, He will create a female, a prophet. If he do intercourse with her, she's always gonna take. She's not gonna give. Then she's gonna be outside the prophethood, because no one can representing God. He can take without giving. You see what I mean? A prophet always he has to give. He cannot take.
He can only take directly from Allah's prophets.
He can take directly from Allah. So let's look at the 4 best women that are equal to those prophets. The first woman is the Zahra alayhi salam, and we established why. The second woman is who? Mary. And what happened with Mary? She didn't do intercourse with anyone. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He gave her a present. He didn't give her a present, a big present. Okay, and she did not take it from someone.
So she only.
Allah Azza wa
She
Jal,
gave it, Allah gave it to her.
Allah gave it to her. That if she married, she would lose that. You see? And the third one, what is it? Asya. She didn't have any kids. You see? And the fourth one, who? Khadija. She's the mother of Az-Zahra. She needed to be purified. You see? So, is many women equal to those women? Yeah, there's many. There's many. Why? If they are become very spiritual, close to Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah Azza wa Jal will bring them to the level of the Prophet. How? Any woman that raises her kids in the right way, she will be in a level of the Prophets. You see, he told her, you don't have to struggle like the Prophet struggled. You're already there. You're already like prophets. Why you wanna struggle with nations? You see, why you wanna struggle with nations? Yeah, basically, Allah Azza wa Jal, when he told Adam and Eve, go down, earth, struggle, he didn't say both struggle. He said, you both go down and you struggle to Adam. Yeah, and you struggle and you stay, yes. So in the creation, Allah Azza wa Jal, He gave the woman the status of the prophets because she's raising kids and so on. That He gave her that status. And for the man, He established those prophets. And in our time, for example, some people, they will say, why we're not prophets? Allah Azza wa Jal, He said to Rasulullah, from your nation, if you're mu'min, from the nation of Muslimin, if you are regular mu'min, spiritual, close to Allah Azza wa Jal, you are equal to the prophets of Bani Israel. Yeah, علماء أمتي أفضل من أنبياء بني إسرائيل أو مثل exactly like أنبياء بني إسرائيل. You see, Subhanallah. So what may bring you close to Allah? Knowing yourself, who you really are, connecting yourself with all your surrounding, because you are made from metals. You are metal, you are spirit, you are matter, you are all these things. You know who you are yourself from the very beginning, because if you know that, it won't be hard for you now to understand who you are. And then you connect with the rhythm of the universe. You see, and you know, very simple, that if you are a regular woman who love Allah Azza wa Jal, who raise her kids, who make everyone around her happy, you are equal to those prophets. You don't have to struggle like them to be like, because you're already there. Any question? Yeah.
You know, you said all prophets, they knew right when they were born, they knew of the prophet.
Yeah.
We're not about to be born by the age of 40. Quran came on him in the spirit, right?
Yeah. No.
So he absorbed the Quran, didn't he? At that moment.
No, this is long story. I
He
explained it
already
before.
knew.
Yeah, but before, at the very beginning of the creation, even inside the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal, He said to Rasulullah, وَلِنَرَى تَقَلُّبَكَ فِي السَّاجِينَ. We will see your nur inside the people who were performing sujood. Who's his fathers, his anbiya. So when he was created, immediately he said, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. His mother narrated that he said, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. At the beginning, when he immediately came. Why? Because if he didn't talk immediately, Jesus will be better than him. And that's impossible. So whatever I told you the prophets did before, whatever did before, they are as just a picture from Rasulullah. So if, for example, a prophet was able to raise people from that, Rasulullah will be able to do it.
So
Be-
it's always the form.
He is al-kamal al-mutlaq.
It's like foreshadowing. When you're reading a book, it's like foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. For he's the only person that he didn't have a shadow. All of them, they did have that, even to that extreme. You see what?
So
Yeah.
why was it decreed that Prophet Muhammad, right when he was created, he had the status of a prophet? Why can't you be a prophet Muhammad with the last one?
Yeah, because Allah Azza wa Jal, when he found all this creation, He chose him. He made him. You know, he's God made. He reached certain position that during that growth, for example, he stayed alf dahr. Nobody knows how much time. Allah Azza wa Jal trying to purify him. So when he reached that level, the only way to go more higher, to look down to all the creation. You see what I mean? Allah Azza wa Jal, now to make him more higher, He want to look down to the creation to bring them to His level. So why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal chose him. And the only test is like this. The test, how He tests you. Allah Azza wa Jal, how did He test you? Same way that He tested Adam and the devil. He said to the devil, go and perform sujood for Adam. And he said, no, I don't want to do it. Why you chose him? You should choose me. I used to pray for it. Same thing us. When he tell you, chose Muhammad, he say, why you chose him? I am better than him. And then this is your test again.
Same thing with Imam
Okay.
Bukhari.
So when you say, I chose Muhammad because you Allah, you chose him, you are equal to Muhammad in a form of closeness to Allah. If you refuse that, then you are like the devil. Exactly. You see, we always go the same circle.
And
Yeah.
you spoke about one thing you said that threw me off. You said that all the prophets knew they were prophets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of understood that in general, but what about Nabi Yusuf?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't know he was a prophet until he had that dream.
Yeah, but how old was he when he had the dream?
He was young.
I was like 2 years old or 2.5.
Okay.
And he was very young, but he used to know. I mean,
But then you know Alim al-Quran?
yeah, they know. That's why they were taught.
Yeah, but
That's why my main explanation for this lecture saying a prophet, you cannot teach a prophet. If you teach him, you are doing an intercourse with his brain, and that's impossible for a prophet. Always a prophet has to give, not to take.
When he was 1 year, you know he was a prophet? He was 1 years old?
Yeah, his father, he was the prophet.
You still talking about Nabi Yusuf?
Yeah, his father was a prophet, and Yusuf, you know that. His father, Yusuf's father, he know that Yusuf is a prophet too.
Jacob knew he was.
Yeah, both they know. Both they know, because this is the science of prophethood. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صلوا على محمد وآله.
اللهم صل على